Chris Cuomo of CNN is in a little bit of hot water right now because the Washington Post reported that he was helping advise his brother on how to respond to these sexual harassment allegations. And his brother is Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York. Now, on its surface, maybe that doesn't sound too bad because brothers can talk about things, that's completely fine. The issue here is obviously Chris Cuomo is a reporter and Andrew Cuomo is a governor or a politician. That means that a reporter shouldn't really be advising a governor what to do about, these sexual harassment allegations. It makes it even worse, though, that it wasn't just a private conversation talking about what he was going to do. Instead, the Washington Post reported that Cuomo joined a series of conference calls that included the Democratic governor, who was his brother, his top aide, communications team, lawyers, and a number of outside advisors. So it's not as if the governor was just randomly asking his brother what he thinks he should do. Instead, his brother, again a reporter on CNN, was specifically invited to these conference calls where he talked with all of his other employees and advisors so they could figure out a strategy and what to do. Now, they're brothers. Again, I understand that. But one of them is a reporter and the other is a politician. That means that things like this probably shouldn't happen. And this isn't me just saying it, but a professor at the journalism school in Columbia said that if you're actively advising a politician in trouble while being an on-air host on a news network, that's not okay. So when CNN found out about this, Cuomo issued an apology, and CNN said it was a mistake, but they're not really going to do anything about it because he already apologized. Now, in those calls, Chris Cuomo apparently said that his brother should take a defiant position, and that he apparently likened this to cancel culture, saying that he needs to hold firm in the face of the allegations. Now, putting aside whether or not these allegations are true or not, and the fact is we don't really know, it is a little bit funny to me that Cuomo brought up these allegations and said this was just an example of cancel culture. Because CNN, unless I'm mistaken, they don't tend to be against cancel culture. They're generally okay with it when people like Gina Carano get fired. But here he is bringing up cancel culture as if it were a negative thing all of a sudden, which is a little bit amusing to me. Now, it's also funny to me that CNN's response here was that Chris has not been involved in CNN's extensive network of the allegations against Governor Cuomo, on air or behind the scenes, which is good because he shouldn't be reporting on his brother, and CNN is doing something right here. Now, the problem with that is this is a completely different approach to what they had last year. Because if you remember, Chris Cuomo interviewed his brother fairly regularly on the program, as this article rightfully points out, to boast about his administration's handling of the crisis to a sympathetic interviewer. So Chris Cuomo was never going to really push back or ask any difficult questions. He was not going to ask why they were shipping sick COVID patients into nursing homes. He wouldn't have done that because he's his brother. So back then, I guess it was acceptable because things seemed like they were kind of going well. But now that there are more serious questions about Andrew Cuomo and these allegations and everything, well, now it's not something that should happen. And I agree with that. It shouldn't happen, but he shouldn't have interviewed his brother in the first place. We also have this article where the Washington Post once again shows or alleges that members of Andrew Cuomo's family, including his brother, were given special access to COVID testing because of their proximity to him as governor, which again is not great. I understand that you're governor and you can be tested and perhaps your immediate family if they live in the same household, but I don't understand why you being governor necessitates that your adult brother, Chris Cuomo right here, was one of those who benefited from this priority testing. He didn't live with you at the time. It wasn't a necessity. He'd also already had COVID, so, there's that. But this just doesn't make sense. So it doesn't really seem to me that the Cuomos have a very good track record of keeping things separate. That one is a reporter, one is a politician, and they mix things up fairly frequently, and that's why there's controversies like this. Now, we're done with this story, but there's one last thing about CNN I want to highlight, and that's because, CNN is stupid. It's amusing to me when we read stories like this that when you think about how often CNN says that Fox News, they're not real journalists, they don't have integrity, all of this stuff, which I don't really care about Fox News, to be honest. I'm not defending them, but I am saying that CNN is being a hypocrite here. But now I want to look at Don Lemon just really quickly before we take off. So Don Lemon made an announcement, I think it was last weekend, about the future of his employment at CNN. And I want you to listen to how he made this announcement, and then what do you think he's trying to say? Because he did it in the weirdest possible way. Here we go.
So earlier, I told you I had an announcement, and I do. It's been really, really great. This is the last night that we'll be CNN Tonight with Don Lemon. So I appreciate all the years of CNN Tonight with Don Lemon, but changes are coming, and I will fill you in. But until then, I am very proud of my CNN special about Marvin Gaye's groundbreaking album.
Okay, so that's his announcement right there. He says that he's very proud of what he's done. It's been a number of years, but CNN Tonight with Don Lemon is coming to an end. Now, anyone in their right mind would hear that and say, oh, I guess Don Lemon is leaving CNN, because that's effectively what he's saying. Not literally, but it's effectively what he's saying and what anyone would think. The problem is, that's not what he was trying to say. Apparently, he's not leaving CNN. It hasn't been canceled. He's just changing the name of the entire show. It says here on PolitiFact that those remarks sparked false claims that the show was canceled and that he was leaving the network. And sure, it turns out that they were false, but that's not really their fault that they made these claims, because he was the one effectively saying, I'm leaving and it's time to go. But then he just wanted to change the name. So I'm just bringing this up because it's ridiculous. CNN is employing people who make announcements like that to leave their show for the weekend without thinking that maybe it's going to be misinterpreted as you quitting CNN. And they allow Chris Cuomo to interview his brother, even though there's an issue there because one's a politician and one's a reporter. And CNN, these are the people that they hire. It's funny to me. It's amusing. And if you don't think this is a big deal, that's okay. I don't either. I just think it's hilarious when people take CNN so very seriously when they employ people like this, like Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. And that's what I wanted to talk about here. If you agree with me and you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you have any other examples of CNN anchors being kind of stupid, because I'm sure there's plenty of them, let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.